Good evening, everyone. Everybody listening? Good. Um, Welcome back. Those who, like Julie, returning here for more than, 5 months maybe? It's almost 6 months. Um, I was here last month. Um, yeah, I was here last month for the first English meeting. So, but we are trying to get back to a certain type of normalcy. And tonight we're, as we usually do, on the second Monday of each month, we have our meeting in English. And tonight I'm gonna be the one talking about the Gospel according to Spiritism. Julie will come up in a few minutes to talk a little bit about a message from the book Our Daily Bread, and I will then, after her, I will follow up with the message of the Gospel. So I'm looking down because I'm trying to. We forget how we do things when we don't do it for a long time. So I'm just watching to see if the transmission is going okay on my phone here, just to hopefully the sound is good. I cannot tell right now, but so for us to start, let's do our initial prayer, and then we will invite Julie to come here for message one from Our Daily Bread. And if you want, we can close our eyes so that we can focus on the inside and think about our dear Master Jesus, and above it all, our Father, our Creator, God, and saying thanks for giving us the love that we receive every day. The blessing of being born, the blessing of being here at this moment in time is such a wonderful one that sometimes we cannot understand, we cannot grasp how much of a gift it is to be alive. We all go through problems, tribulations, and some moments of happiness and of easiness. But we want, dear Master, above it all, to be thankful for you being there for us through our friends, through our families, through your message that can give us a little bit of light and hope that if we stick to the plan, if we stick to your message, everything in the end will be all right. For you, as you taught us, you won over the world, so we are able to win over our own problems and our own difficulties. So thank you, dear Master. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity of being here tonight to study and to think about ourselves, the world, and what we should be doing to make it a better place for everyone. So be it. So, like I said before, let's invite Julie, so that she can read the message and give some brief comments about it. Welcome, Julie.
Take this off a little bit. Good evening, everyone. It's awesome to be here today, and I've missed everyone so much. Tonight's reading is going to be chapter 120, Reconciliation, from the book Our Daily Bread. Reconcile quickly with your adversary while you are on your way with him, so that he does not hand you over to the judge, and so that the judge does not hand you over to the officer, and so that you will not be thrown into prison. Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 5, verse 25. After having received the exhortation of his passage, many noble souls suffer inwardly when confronted with the hardness of a former adversary who is unwilling to reconcile. The master warning, however, is fundamentally consoiled into individuals' conscience. The master's recommendation to reconcile is like a saying, do your part. Correct your past errors as much as possible. Make every effort to display your persevering goodwill. Insist on kindness and understanding. If your adversary is unmoved, think of the time when you're too unaware of your fundamental obligations and see if you yourself did not act even worse. If he or she is a bad person, count him on her among the sick and the imbalanced on the road to recovery. Do as much good as possible while you are walking the same path, because if your enemy is so incapable that he or she seeks to turn you over to the judge at any cost, you too will have evidence and proves your presence. A legitimate trial includes all the pieces and only spirits thoroughly and importunated to the good will suffer the rigor of justice to the extreme. Strive therefore as much as possible for harmony, but if your adversary scorns you to good intentions, reconcile yourselves with your own conscience and wait trustfully. This message is, reading makes me really think about, throughout I guess I just want to connect it to the past few months is where are we in as a world, and so much has happened and so much of lives have lost, and if there was something I heard over these couple months is that live each day that you have because tomorrow is not promised, and that's true. If you have somebody in your life, or if you have somebody who you may not get along, or it could be a loved one, a friend, it could be a coworker or whoever, have you ever thought that adversary, that person that is in your life, maybe causing you trouble, it is there for a reason? To teach you to be a better person, to evolve into a better person, and I think that's what Spiritism is really teaching us, is about the evolvement of our spirits. And I think that thinking, if today is your last day, if tomorrow is not promised, if you could make tomorrow better, what would you do? Would you want to make amends with the people who your adversary? And I think that's what Jesus is trying to tell us, is because that in order for us to regain our freedom, whether it's our souls and our spirits, we have to make amends with our adversary. Because as long as you don't go through the evolution, your spirit will come back, and until you learn to be free. And when I read a message like this, I also remember a lot of people who go through trauma, who go through very difficult times in their lives, whether it's because they suffer in the hands of somebody else. And I think one of the most beautiful feelings as a human being is the feeling of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not easy. It's a big spiritual involvement, But I think that's is part of what Jesus is saying, is because we need to evolve ourselves as human beings and reconcile with our adversary. And I think you can't reconcile without forgiveness. And when you think of somebody who has done you harm or has done you something that have hurt you in the past, when you're able to look into that past and you're willing to forgive that person, reconcile with that, I think once you're able to forgive, your soul evolves more into the word of God that He wants for us. So it's a very beautiful message, and I think it's really makes us reflect about what forgiveness, what love, true love for each other, no matter what the means it is. Because if we don't forgive each other, if we don't make amends with other people, then what it is for us there. I think that, and it's also part about when we talk about pointing fingers. There's a saying that when you point one finger, there's three pointing back at you, and that's because the work to forgive, it's more you than somebody else, because it comes from the inside, in your heart and your soul. So that's what Emmanuel is telling us, is that the master recommendation to reconcile is like the saying, do your part. And it's you have to do your part first. You have to take the first step. It's not about saying or waiting for somebody to come and say apologize. Is for you to say, do you forgive? And I think the work is inside of, and that the work inside of us is the hardest work to do. But yeah, that's my reflection. Thanks, everyone.
So thank you, Julie, for the reconciliation message, which is very important for all of us. And so tonight, as we continue the study of the Gospel according to Spiritism, as usually we say when we start these these meetings in English, what we do is we are studying the Gospel in order. So we started this study like many years ago, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago or more. And at that time, what we decided to do was we wanted to study each chapter. So every month we would study one chapter. So we went through the whole book of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Then once we finished it, we decided that we would do as we do with our Portuguese meetings, which is we go topic by topic. So every month we go through a topic of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Right now we are on chapter 8, which is Blessed are the pure in heart. And we started chapter 8 last month with Hendrik, when he studied with us simplicity and pureness of heart, which was very interesting. And by the way, all these meetings in English are recorded and are on our channel on YouTube. So you can go online and listen to them or watch them if you want to go through all the items of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Of course, it will take still a long time to go through the rest of it, but we will follow through, and hopefully we will be able to finish it. So tonight we will study items number 5, 6, and 7 of the book, which once again, well, I didn't say it yet. The topic that Kardec titled it "Sinning by means of thought." adultery. So the word sin, the word to sin, is to make a mistake, is to do something wrong. Either usually we see this word as a religious word. It's I mean, I say I committed a crime. I whatever, I stole something from someone, or I killed someone, or even smaller things. Just like, say, in the Bible, for example, we have the commandment number 4: honor your mother and your father. So if we don't honor our mother and our father, in the words of the religion, we are sinning against God. We are making a mistake. We are committing a crime against God. So when we usually when we hear the word sin, it has that connotation, that meaning that's really attached to this idea of religion. It's connected to religion. However, and this is important for us, is when we try to look at religion or established religion, let's put it that way. And what do I want to mean by an established religion? I want to mean a specific Catholic church, or an evangelical church, or a spiritist center, or a Buddhist temple, or a mosque. So these are the religions that we have. So we have, like, I don't know, hundreds of different religions around the world. And each one of these religions have their commandments, or they tell what's wrong and what's not wrong, what you can do and what you cannot do, what you should do and what you should not be doing. And when we think about, let's imagine a person that was born, say, in an island, and in that island, for whatever reason, there's no representation of any of these religions. You know, there's no representation of any of those religions. And let's imagine that one of them gets angry with another one and kills the other one, right? Or whatever they do. They will not call it sin, because they have no idea what this word sin is. But they will feel that there's something wrong there. That thing will stay in their mind. That error, or that thing that they did, that maybe they consider or they don't consider it wrong or right or wrong yet, but it will stay with them. And why am I going through all this idea here? Is just to say that when we put a religion in the middle of something, in a religion, once again, not the one that whichever it is that comes from the Creator, whatever the name we call it, but our religions, there were things that in the past that were wrong that are not wrong anymore. Not because they are wrong, or not because they are wrong or right, but because at that time we saw, or we thought, that it was wrong, because we didn't understand it well. Or the other way around, things that were right back then, that are now, it's not acceptable anymore. Right? So what is then to sin in that sense? Right? What it is to make a mistake then? What do we have in a mistake or in an error that really makes that thing to be an error, to be a sin, or to be a mistake, to be something that's really bad for you? And this is something that has been questioned and questioned over and over again, and I'm not going to be able to answer that question, because it's something that we really need to feel yet. So, for example, there was in the past, when, you know, tribes were fighting against other tribes, right? They just like a lion is fighting over the territory that they live on, and they don't like another lion to come to their territory. So we were more like animals in the past than we are now. Although sometimes I doubt it. Sometimes I question it. If we are today, we're still not so um, um, animals in some ways still. But when one tribe wanted to invade another tribe for whatever reason, say they have a better um, cucumbers, or they have better, the river flows better in that land, so they want to go to that land. They're going to fight each other because they don't want to give their home, they don't want to give that piece of land, and it will, people will kill each other and so on and so forth. At that time, and that I'm saying a long time ago, when you win over your adversary, right? You have no idea that you should not be eating the one that you just killed. So there were lots of tribes that would kill the other person and then would eat the meat of the other person, especially the brain, because they thought that, we think, or the heart, because it's something that will give me more heart, will give me more courage, will give me more brains. Today, medicine and biology shows us that if we do that, if we eat meat from other people, this is bad for us, not because God is saying that it's bad for us, not because there's a religion saying that it's bad for us, but because physically, when we eat something that has the same DNA as I have, it can mutate me and will cause some diseases that I won't be able to treat it. Do you remember, like, there from time to time, uh, uh, there was like a few years ago, for example, there were some cows that got the disease that we call the mad cow disease. Maybe you heard it or not. So there was this mad cow disease that cows would get, like, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what they would, but it was a disease that would cause them to not be healthy anymore and would die and would like act like crazy, and that the meat from those cows would damage us. And what did they find out? They found out that what people were feeding the cows were meat from other cows that had died. So eat eat ourselves, I mean, as human beings, will do the same to us. So, but we didn't know that. Now we know that we shouldn't be doing. Some people still do. I don't know, hopefully not. But what I'm saying is, once we evolve, we start to understand stuff that we didn't understand before. And hopefully that understanding will change our views on what is wrong and what is right, what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be doing. I don't know if you noticed, but if you like to go, or you don't need to go to museums to see this, but if you go to museums and you look at old paintings, you will notice something really interesting in some of these very old, like, I don't know, maybe in the 1600s, 1500s. If you look at families painted, like the mother, the father, and the kids, or just the kids, you'll see that the kids, they have like this adult face, but in a small body. Kids at that time were seen as adults in young bodies. That's why kids would work. That's why kids were not necessarily well educated, because they thought that they were already knew, or they would know when they were older. We didn't know. We didn't know back then. Our thought made us see the world the way we wanted to see, not the way the world really is. The way in what we put in our eyes or over our eyes changes what we see in the world. I heard this example that I find it to be very interesting, and we say it in a different way here sometimes. But this person was talking about something similar to what we're discussing here tonight, and they said, do you know when you go to a party and you don't want to go to that party? And then it doesn't matter how beautiful the party is, how nice the party is, how much people are having fun. Everything will be terrible for you because you don't want to go. So how can I say that that party was bad? I can't, because the party itself is what it is. But I, with my thought and my feelings, what I have inside of me is changing what's outside. Not because it is changing exactly physically what's happening, but because the way I think changes the way I see. Everybody that's here, and if there's anyone watching and knows me, probably have seen me without my glasses for a few seconds, because I wear my glasses all the time. Sometimes even taking a shower, I keep my glasses for a little while because I can barely see without them. But if I take my glasses off, right, you'll notice the difference. But you don't know what I am seeing or what I am not seeing. You don't have no idea. You only know what you are seeing. But right now, if I didn't know that there were, who you were before putting my glasses, I would not be able to tell who you are without my glasses. I would try to guess based maybe on a position, maybe on the hairstyle or something, on the color of the skin that I can see somewhat, but I would not be able to say it 100%. And that's just because I don't have this over my face. Now I can see you. And if my lenses were blue or green or purple or pink, I would see you in a different color. There's an expression in English that says that. I'm seeing you in a different color, right? Why? The color is not the person. The color is not in the thing. And it is. But the question is, what am I seeing? Why am I seeing what I'm seeing? I think that Hendrik used this example a little bit last time, but I remember when a long time ago, that was maybe, I don't know, 12, 15, 13 years ago, when I started working at delivering packages. And one day I came home, and I used to, after a little while, I used to drive the truck back home. And my younger daughter, that now is 16, at the time she was, I don't know, maybe 4, 3. She looked at me one day and said, "Daddy, I never saw one truck of the company that you work for. Never saw one truck. Now everywhere I go, I see a truck." So I always find, and I remember this so vividly, because that thing just like hit me with a force that it's still there. My question is always, there was no truck before I started working there? Of course not. There were lots of trucks similar to mine, equal to mine, the same as the truck that I used to drive, exactly the same. But it was just that she was not aware of it. It was not important to her. It was not something that she was worried about, or not worried, but that had not caught her eye for whatever reason. Once I started to get home with my uniform, with the name of the company all the time there, all the time, and she used to see my truck, and she used to go inside to see how it is, and now she starts seeing it everywhere. Where were the trucks? Were they hiding? And then all of a sudden they just came out from the ground and she started, no. It was her eyes. She was not seeing them, although they were there. So for us, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Depending on what we have in our minds, and whatever I put it there, I will see the world through those colors. So after all this introduction, right? Talking about sins, going through what is really sin, how am I seeing this? How do I see the world? How do I perceive the world? I'm going to read these two items, these two verses from Matthew 5, which is on the Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus is teaching us, all of us, and he says, one of the words that one of these sentences that he says a few times in the Sermon on the Mount. He says, "You heard what was said. Before me, you heard this. Everybody used to say this, or a lot of people say this." So that's how he starts. You have heard it was said. You heard it. Someone told you. Probably your fathers, probably like your teachers. Do not commit adultery. Do not commit adultery. I'm going to stop right here, or pause. Adultery is a word that when we hear it, the same way as sin, we always think about adultery because of the context in which it is usually said. It's when one man or one woman, which are together, or two men or two women, it doesn't matter. When two people are together and one betrays the other, that's committing adultery. So you're married to another person, then you go out of your marriage or your relationship or your commitment, and then you go out with another person without that other person here knowing it. That's adultery. It is a crime in the law. I don't know the specifics of the law, but it is you can file for divorce, and there is some stuff that you can do if you know it and you prove that it was done. So that's usually adultery. I mean, you go out and then you betray the other person, say. However, this word adultery does not mean only that. Is not used only for this. Adultery, in a sense, is betraying. In a deeper sense, it's betraying a contract. So it doesn't matter what type of contract it is. It can be between a man and a woman and another woman, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a marriage. It can be, a partnership, a society in a company. Then the other person, one of the persons, goes and sells information about that other person, about the company. Then you're committing adultery. You're betraying the other party. you're doing something that you should not be doing to the other party because you had an agreement. So although when we listen to this and we hear this, we always think about the sexual part, it's not only for that, meaning that it is also for the sexual part, but it's much more than that. So the teaching of Jesus goes even further beyond just the sexual part of having an affair out of the marriage. You have heard what it was said, do not commit adultery. Do not betray the other. You heard what was said, do not betray the other person. So a treason might be against your country, against your boss, against whatever. But Jesus says, but I tell you. So here comes the worst, or the worst part. Because he says, you heard it, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman to desire her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So it's not just about the doing, the act physically of doing it. But Jesus is asking us to think about, when does a bad action begin? When does it start? It starts before happening, right? I'm going to kill someone. I'm going to commit adultery. When does it start? Does it start only when it happens? And what about if I premeditated? Even the law knows the difference when you commit a crime in self-defense. Say a person enters your house and attacks you, and then you guys fall, and then you grab a knife or whatever, and then you stab the person, right? You're going to be judged. You killed someone. We killed someone. So that's, but it's completely different than a person that thought about it before, right? Oh, I'm going to kill someone, right? It's two completely different things. So what Jesus is trying to make us think and make us feel and understand is that the sin of committing a crime does not start only when we commit the crime. It starts before committing the crime. When we have it in our hearts. It's not that I'm going to be judged guilty of doing it if I didn't do. No, there's nothing about judging. It's nothing about being wrong or being right. But it's for us to think about, what if I want a better society? What should I do? Is it better to let everybody kill and then treat them after they kill? Or is it better if we start when they are young and teach them not to be killers? I think that hopefully you guys think that the answer is the same as mine. It's much better to do it when they are young so that they don't become killers. Because after you did it, you already did it. But before, you always have a chance to change. We always have the chance of not doing it, of becoming a better person. So when Jesus is teaching this to us, although we sometimes look at this as if Jesus is, or the religion is, judging us and say, see, I cannot even think bad thoughts, and then we put this big weight on us. It's not about not thinking. It's not about being judged because I think. No, it's not about that. It's about, oh, I think bad thoughts. Okay, so what should I do with these bad thoughts? I should be worried about it. The same way I'm worried about, say, I love video games, or I love movies, or I love comic books, or I love to read, or I love to learn whatever it is, and I'm not good at it, but I want to be good at it, and I just noticed that I'm not good at that. What should I do then? If I really want it, should I stop and give up, or should I keep going and study more and practice more? I think also the answer to this question is very clear. If I really want it, I should pursue it and try to do it the best that I can. So it's the same thing. If I start to think, oh, I had this bad thought, or I have this bad feeling towards that person, or towards that other idea, that other person, what should I do with this? It's a good way of knowing myself, of learning who I am, how I am, what I still think, how I still feel, and that I can, ask Julie, ask a friend, ask. So, did you ever have this? Did you ever feel like this? What did you do when you had that? And then another person might have a good answer. It might not work for me, it might not work for the another person, but it might work for whoever. I remember, and I like to tell this story because I think it touched me at the time. I was listening to NPR. I was going home one day, and I was listening to this story on NPR. And the story, it was a girl, and she was in rehab. She had drugs for a very long time in her life, went down a few times, and I think she was in prison for a few times, but now she was able to get rid of it, or she was in a rehab for a while already, and she was getting better and better and better. And she was giving this interview. They were talking about with her, and the person looked at her. I don't know if she looked at her. It was in the radio. I couldn't see it, but the person asked her, do you know, or can you know if any of the things that people told you helped you? Say a person would come to you and say, "Hi, why don't you stop? You should stop. This is bad for you," or "this is..." And then she says something, and that's what really stuck with me. She said something that's really interesting. She said, "No one could have made me change. They would come to me and say lots of things. I would not listen to them. I would do whatever I wanted to do. I would think that they were wrong. I would think that they wanted to put the knife or put the fork in my food and stir it. And I want to stir my own food, meaning I want to take care of my own life. What have you to do with my life?" So no one told me one thing that made me change. But I'm going to tell you something. Everybody that told me something, I put them all in one group, and it was because everybody told me that one day made me change, made me want to change. So it's not one person. It's the group of people. It's the message that got through her, through a lot of different people, through a lot of different messages, in movies, in books, in whatever. Everything together made her realize that she was losing and wasting her life. And she wanted to change. And then she decided to change. So she says it was not one person. You could come here and tell me, do this, and to me it doesn't mean anything. But you telling me this, Tico telling me this, Dora telling me this, Krish telling me this, and a bunch of other people telling me the same thing over the years. It's like that thing just accumulated inside my head. And at one point I said, yeah, I have to try that because I cannot stand it anymore. And then I did it. So I find that to be so powerful because that's the power of the group of people trying to help us. So it's not one or two or three people, it's a lot of people. And if we have the ability or the capability of doing that to ourselves, of paying attention to who I am and what do I need, I will be able to listen more carefully and to notice that help is right there. But I just didn't notice before. Why? Because I was not paying attention. Just like the trucks, they were there. I was just not paying attention. It starts here. If I want to do a bad thing, it starts here. If I want to do a good thing, it starts here. It doesn't matter. If I want, but if it's not that what I want, if I just want life to take me away, then whatever, it doesn't matter. But is it this way that I want to live my life? And that's my choice. That's what I need to choose for myself. I mean, if you go more here, people don't surf that much, right? The waters are too cold for people to be surfing all the time. Although during the summer, you can see some surfboards around on tops of cars and so on. So maybe they drive a little farther away or wherever the water is a little better. But to go to the sea and to swim, right, in the sea is really interesting because if you're on a lake, there's no waves. Wherever you swim, you will go, right? You'll go because you just swim. You crawling and swimming and swimming. You keep going. It doesn't really matter. If you want to stop and come back, easy. You stop and then you come back. You can't do that on the sea. You can't do that on the sea. Because the waves will not let you do that. I remember, I grew up where there was a sea, so used to go to the beach quite often. So my mom was there, right, on the sand and playing around, and then we would go to the water and we were playing. And when I was a little older, then I would, go a little further down, right? Then we were playing in the water with friends and my brothers and sisters. We were playing. Say my mom was right here in front of me, right? So then we lose focus because we're focusing on playing here, right? Once we get tired and we want to go out, when we look for our mom, we can't see her anymore. She's not here anymore. The water, depending on the wind and what was going on, is taking us, is moving us away. And I don't want to do it. But that's what life does to us. If I don't really pay attention, it will take us to ways, to places that if I'm not ready. And I remember being young and I've been worried. I think that at least once or twice I was really worried because I was so far away. I couldn't see her anywhere. But she was seeing me. She was seeing me, so I wouldn't be worried. I mean, she would come and pick me up. But I remember this time that I felt desperate. I mean, I felt like where is my mom? Where is she? I couldn't find her. I couldn't see her. Lots of people. She was, and I maybe I thought like this. She was right here. I didn't realize that the waves were carrying me. It was not that I was gonna be drowned. It's not carrying me in It's carrying me sideways. So I would be able to go out and walk back. But walk back where? If I'm not seeing her. If I don't know, should I go this way or that way? I don't know. When I don't know the direction that I'm going to, everywhere, everything takes me everywhere. And I don't know what I'm going to do. So knowing this and this is very important. In the pure, and that's the title of the chapter, blessed are the pure in heart. And this idea of pure in heart is, can you tell me what time it is? We need to change the 7:50. Okay, so I have a few minutes. Blessed are the pure in heart, meaning heart here, to a certain extent, means what I am. Not necessarily my feelings only, but my feelings and my mind, my total being. Blessed are the pure in heart, the ones that can really see clearly. And it's not blessed because God is blessing me necessarily. It's because I am able to see as is, so that I can take the right action, the appropriate action, and act accordingly. So say, for example, and we all know this, the younger here is Tico, right? And he already knows because he's not a small boy anymore. Well, he's not small for a very long time already, because this guy is so big that's I don't know when he was small. Comes an adult and gives Tico a chocolate, and he doesn't know the guy. What does he want? We don't know what's inside there. We don't know what's inside that chocolate. You know, these days I was talking to my daughters the other day, and she says, she tells me something that says, oh, if you go out with your friend, you never, if you leave your drink, you don't come back to that drink and keep drinking it. You never know whoever put some, if anyone put something there. So if you left your drink alone, then just buy another one. Whatever it is, if it's Coke or water, or it doesn't matter. But how many people don't know this and cannot see this very, very small thing clearly and will fall for it? So can you imagine how many things we are not seeing right? And then we say, oh, if I only knew back then. How many times our fathers or mothers or old ones told us something to do or not do this, and then we went and did it, and then we said, oh, I shouldn't have done it. Or the other way around, oh, you should do this, this is good for you, and then you don't do it. Later on you regret it, that you should have done it, because now it passed too much time and I don't have enough time to do it anymore. How many times have I and we thought of doing something, and for whatever reason we decided not to do that, not because someone told me to do or not to do, but just because I was, I don't know, lazy, or I was tired, and then I didn't do it, and then later on said, oh, I knew that I should have done it. Not because someone told me, but because I had that feeling. So imagine if we have that awareness all the time. One day when we have that awareness, how many problems and troubles will I avoid in my own life for not doing it? So when Jesus tells us and and calls us to this idea of, if you have already started it in your mind, you have already like started doing it. It's not in terms of putting blame or putting like a judgment or, oh, God is going to punish me, or God this, God that. No, it's not about that. But because our minds and our eyes, our lenses, the color of the lenses of religion that we have for such a long time is a lens of guilt. We feel guilty for doing it or for not doing it. But the feeling, should not be a feeling of guilt. It should be a feeling of awareness. Okay, I did it wrong. Now I need to change. That's the feeling. Because I have to recognize that that is wrong. That shouldn't be done. It doesn't matter if 10,000 people are doing it. It doesn't matter. Because 10,000 people do it doesn't mean that it's right. Whatever it is. If it's wrong, if it's not the best way of doing it, it shouldn't be done. Period. And so many things happened like this in the past. You know, the other day I was watching a TV, YouTube, and I wanted to find this interview with an author that I like. And I kept, browsing through certain interviews. And then there was an interviewer here in the United States called Johnny Carson. He was very famous and was one of the very first or the best interviewers for a while on American television. And in the 60s or 70s, he would be interviewing people. The person would be smoking and he would be smoking. They both would be smoking on TV. When I saw that, it was so weird to watch that. So weird. Because when you see it in a movie, when you see it in a staged, you're mimicking like real life or whatever it is, but like you're interviewing another person and you're smoking. It's so weird to see it these days. But tens of thousands of people would do it. Did it make it right? No, didn't make it right. It causes cancer. It causes so many bad things in our bodies. So many. And it's not, going the other direction. It's not because nobody does it that makes it wrong. So it might make you weird doing it. People might look, and if we care, we probably won't do it, and that's why probably a lot of people don't do it. But if it's the right thing to do, it should be done. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was normal. Yeah, in classrooms, everywhere. And I'm talking about one small thing. It's cigarettes. Now imagine how many other things there are like this. So if we want to change, if we really want to do something that needs to be changed, that I want to be changed. Sorry, that I want to change. Getting confused here. If I want to do something that I want changed, I need to start by doing it here and here. It's a start. It's not the whole thing. It's not the whole process, but it's a start. I need to start to pay attention on the inside and looking at myself and saying, if I use the same idea that Jesus is doing here, is telling us here, if you desire that thing in your heart, you already did it. Because you're building it in your own mind. It's not that you did it physically, But I think that we can understand what he wants to get to. Just to finish it up, I'm gonna there was this this thing that happened, and I don't know, maybe it happened to some of you as well in school, but you have a friend or you have a colleague in school, and you are with that person all the time, and from that group, one of those people do something that's really bad. Either goes and whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. And then there's another group of people that don't like that person, it's not friends with them, and don't get even close to them, never get in trouble. If you ask a teacher to pick students to go to a better position in college, or who do we think they will choose? The ones who are not associated with the ones that are making the bad decisions. At least that's more or less, I don't know, the majority will do it like this. Because we're guilty by association. If we are close to the bad actions, how more likely it is that I'm going to do a bad action than do a good action if I am on the other side. If I'm thinking of something, if I have that feeling of, here using this, the adultery part, and I have to ask myself, which side am I gonna choose? What am I gonna feed? There was this saying, or this small story. The disciple comes to the master, and he says, "Master, I feel like I have two dogs inside of me. One is a nice dog. It's a dog that likes to be petted. It likes to stick around with me and likes to help me when I'm down. It tries to lick my wounds and tries to help me go through it. But then I have this other dog inside of me that's so angry all the time. Everything that happens, it wants to attack other people. It wants to bite, wants to fight back, wants to... What can I do? How can I deal with it?" Which is probably a representation of all of us, right? We all have these, right? Everybody. The master looks at him and asks one question. Which of these dogs are you giving more food? Which of these dogs are we giving more food to? Who am I feeding the best? Who am I making stronger? Is a dog that wants to fight, to be angry, or the dog that wants to help, that wants to... It's our decision. It is tough. That's why we need help. We need friends, we need family, but it starts from within. And we have feedback from other people. So this sin through thoughts is this idea of Jesus telling us, look, you will see these things. The better you see them in the mirror, the better you can take something to help yourself see the world better and be a better person and do it better. So let's not feed the wrong dog. Let's feed the right dog within ourselves. So let's make our heart pure. Let's make our minds pure, and we will be better in the long run. that's a little bit of what these items are about. It's not all of it, but if you want to read it, it's not too long. It's only one and a half page or 2 pages. Items 5, 6, and 7, chapter 8 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. So as we are usually doing it, once we finish, we usually have our passes, but we're not having them during these times, and we're just going to do a slightly longer prayer so that we can focus a little bit more. And right after that, I'm going to give you some have some announcements to make, short few announcements. Okay, so if we want to close our eyes, let's at this moment think about a place that we like to be it outside, at a beach, in a park, in the mountains, in our room, but thinking about the outside, breathing fresh air, not too hot, not too cold, the right temperature for our bodies. And we feel the wind swifting by, touching our skin, and we feel it because no one else can feel the wind on our skin other than myself. And then the rain starts to come. A few droplets, not a pouring rain. And again, only I can feel the rain, so let's feel it. It is important to feel what the world is telling us. It is important to listen to the birds that are singing, just like messengers from the sky, just like that message that comes from that song that I love, that makes us cry, in the same way that the rain is falling from the sky, a teardrop falls from our eyes when we remember our loved ones, when we remember that feeling of belonging to a place. And it is at that time that I remember that I have someone that cares deeply about me, that had me in his or in her arms quite a few times, and held me close to her heart, to his heart, singing to me, talking to me, embracing my body, but more than that, embracing my heart, embracing my soul, almost making me feel as if the two are one, as if I am one with someone else. And that's how our dear Master Jesus feels with us when we are with him, in his arms, in his thoughts. We are one, and we feel capable of doing, of improving, of having the strength to fight over our problems, and also to enjoy every single moment of our lives. So, Jesus, hold my hand. Make me feel you holding my hand. Raise me up. Touch my heart. Bless my soul. And above it all, make me feel loved. For we all know that your love for us is pure. And God, thank you for allowing us this big brother in our lives with his teachings, his care, and his love. And may this love stay with us tonight and for always. So be it. So, first of all, thank you for coming. It's very good to see Julie twice, yesterday and today. Cris as well. To see Tico again. See Dora. Hopefully, we will be starting soon to have some other meetings in the house here at Cantinho. Thank you, Dora. And on Wednesday, we're gonna restart. I'm gonna talk to the people that are coming coming to our meetings. We're doing it online. We never stopped. I mean, we stopped last month because it was our regular vacation, so we didn't have any meetings last month. But we already started last week. So I talked to two of them that showed up, were able to be here online, and they said that they would be fine coming to the center. And we're such a small group, like 3, 4, 5 people, that we can have it, everybody spaced. So we will probably be coming here this Wednesday. If not, next Wednesday will be. We still don't know, but hopefully we will be able to be back on Saturdays as well before the end of the month. I'm still a little aware because of the governor, and the governor still, doesn't like large meetings, and they have these regulations about sizes of places, and unfortunately we don't have like a good circulation here. We don't have air, we don't have air exchange, so the more people, it's more complicated. But we're not a very good very big group, so we're thinking of maybe close to the end of the month, but we still don't know. Having said that, we already have a few people lined up for our meetings on Saturday nights. So this weekend, we're going to have Vito Antenori Rossi. He will be with us online for this next Saturday. He will be talking about me, you, and the others. What is the difference? So he's going to talk about us and what is the difference that we see from each other. So Vito came here already, gave us a few talks, spoke in different centers, and he's a really good. He touches deep. He really touches deep. Of course, it will be in Portuguese, but everybody here understands Portuguese, anyways. But he will be with us this next Saturday at 7 p.m. Will be online. One day, hopefully, he was scheduled actually to be here. He would have been here, I think, in August or July, but everything was canceled. He transferred to October, but then was canceled again. So he will come next year probably. Then the week after that, we're gonna have John Harley. John Harley is one of the biographers of Chico Xavier. He wrote 2 books about Chico Xavier. He lives in the same city where Chico was born. And he wrote these 2 books about him. And he's writing a 3rd book about him. So he's going to talk about the first book and about the stories of Chico Xavier. That's the next, the Saturday, not this one, but the next one, the 26th. So he will be with us online as well. And in October, the first one, in this guy, John, he already committed to do 3 talks to us. So he will do one for the first book, now in September. He will do another one in October about the 2nd book. And he will do another one in November about the third book, which he's not ready yet, but he will talk about it, and it will probably be ready when he talks about it. So it will be hopefully very, very interesting. And we also have another guy. It's called Rafael Lavarini. He's very studious about Chico Xavier's books. So he's going to talk about Stephen, which is from the book Paul and Stephen. So he's going to talk in October. He's going to talk about that. So we already have like 3 scheduled. Even if we come back, they are going to still be scheduled, and we will be watching him here, and there will be online transmission as well. So hopefully you guys can join us this Saturday to watch Vito write questions so that we can pass it along to him. I know that Dora makes comments there sometimes. Julian came once or twice. Chris also. She never asks questions. She'll say, "I'm here." That's the only thing she says, right? But she says, so that's important. Thank you, Chris. So if you guys can join on this Saturday, it will be really good. He was really Shirley's talked to him, and he was very happy that Shirley's invited him, and he wanted to be with us, and so on. So I think it will be good. Okay, so this is for next Saturday, and hopefully we'll see you guys online. All right. Have a good night. Thank you for coming.